Hello, good morning, and welcome to Unacademy IAS, a one stop destination for all the English medium civil services aspirants. This is Shyam Kaggod here, taking up the newspaper analysis for 2nd August 2026. Now, before I start, please give the confirmation that I am audible and visible for all of you. Am I audible and visible? Please give the confirmation. Thanks a lot. Let's start. So, in today's session, I've taken a total of 11 articles. Most of them are from the daily edition of Hindu newspaper. In addition to this, I will also give you an article for homework from another newspaper. I've taken articles from Press Information Bureau as well as Indian Express. It has been done to ensure that the coverage will be comprehensive, helping you answer questions in prelims as well as mains examination. If you're liking this initiative, do not forget to hit the like button. And if you're yet to join the Unacademy IAS YouTube channel, kindly do it right now. Before I start, here is a very important announcement. The Unacademy IAS courses, all the paid courses on the platform are available to you free of cost for the next 3 days. All you need to do is use the mobile number, register for getting the access, use the link provided in the description. Once you get the access, you will get access to all the paid courses, digital notes and books, and also all the paid test series for prelims as well as mains. Enroll and use it for the next 3 days free of cost. Do not miss out. Use the link provided in the description. Now let me start the discussion. First important article, the Public Examination Bill 2026, which has received the amendment bill which has received the assent of the President of India. Very recently, there have been certain instances in national level exams where the question papers have leaked. That has been one of the common features of exams in India. And in order to prohibit these kind of instances and to punish the people who are involved in paper leakages, the government of India earlier had introduced the act in the year 2024. That is the Public Examination Act of 2024. Now, to make the provisions much more strict, to impose higher penalties, to ensure the fast track courts are set up in order to speed up the trial, to punish the people who are responsible for the paper leaks, etc., the government of India introduced set of amendments, that is basically the Public Examination Bill 2026. It was introduced in the parliament, passed in both of the houses of the parliament, sent to the President of India, and the President of India now has given the assent. Now, what are the important things that you need to make a note of? Please don't write down the points that I've written on the slide. I've typed the points because I don't want to keep on writing and waste the time. That is the only reason. So you can download this particular PPT, use the PPT for revision purposes. Now, what are the important provisions or the changes that have been introduced by amending the 2024 law? Earlier, the imprisonment for the individuals, that is, individuals who are responsible for the leakage of the question paper, earlier the imprisonment was for 3 to 5 years and the fine was up to 10 lakh rupees. Now, the imprisonment tenure has been increased as well as the penalties also have been increased. Imprisonment has been increased from 5 to 10 years with monetary penalty of up to 50 lakh rupees now. Up to 50 lakh rupees. What about the service providers? That is, let's say somebody who is responsible for conducting these particular exams. What if they are also part of the leakage? Under the 2024 law, the fine that was imposed was up to 1 crore rupees. And now this particular fine has been increased to 5 crore rupees. If there are directors, senior management personnel, etc., who are also part of leakage of the question paper, then the bill which has been given the assent by the president now, there is a higher monetary penalty, 5 crore rupees, and also imprisonment has been increased from 3 years to 5 years. And finally, those people who are involved in the organized crime, according to the 2024 law, imprisonment of 5 to 10 years and a fine of 1 crore rupees was the penalty. This has been increased to imprisonment of at least 7 years, and a fine of 10 crore rupees has been proposed under the new provisions. Now, these are certain important changes. At least remember one or two so that if at all a question is asked in the mains examination, you will have some number to write. Rather than simply writing very generic statements, quote certain data that will fetch you a very good number of marks. Now, apart from this, the Prime Minister, even while the protests were happening at Jantar Mantar, had proposed that there will be fast track courts which will be set up, and the process of finding out the people responsible for the leakage and the judicial proceedings, investigations, etc., all of that will be speeded up. So, what does the provision actually say now? Investigations have to be completed in a span of 2 months, 60 days time period. Of course, these are the provisions. I will also tell you the flip side of the provision. That is, are there any concerns associated with these kind of provisions? So the investigations now have to be completed by the authorities within 60 days. Who are the authorities responsible for conducting the investigations now? It has been basically identified as the police personnel, the central agency, or a special task force which will be set up by the government. And once investigations are completed, charge sheet is filed in the court. That is a fast track court which has to be notified by every state government. Now these particular proceedings in the court must be mandatory completed by conducting day-to-day trial. If there is any adjournment beyond 1 day gap, then the explanation has to be provided. Only in under exceptional circumstances, there can be an adjournment beyond 1 day. And this particular trial has to be completed within 3 months. Now let's assume the trial is completed, right? Now I want to appeal against the order that has been issued by the fast track court. The appeal to the High Court has to be done within 30 days. In exceptional circumstances, this can be extended to up to 90 days. Mind you, up to 90 days. Now, after 90 days, the appeals have been prohibited, right? And once appeals are done, those appeals have to be, right, let's say addressed, basically taken up on day-to-day basis and disposed of within 3 months. So these are certain very important provisions that have been introduced by the Government of India in the 2026 Amendment Bill, which has been passed by both the houses, and assent or the signature has been given by the President of India. Now, on one side, the provisions look very solid in the sense these provisions are ensuring that investigations will be completed very quickly, and the proceedings in the court will also be conducted very quickly on day-to-day basis, and the guilty will be punished very quickly as well. And not just that, the monetary penalty on the guilty along with the imprisonment also have been increased. So on paper, the provisions look very strong, very stringent. But are there any concerns associated with these kind of provisions? Of course, yes. Whenever there is any proposal that is being implemented, you will have to look at both the sides of the coin, not just one side. What are the concerns? First one, the time limits. The time limits itself. The investigations have to be completed within 60 days. Now just think of it. Investigations in 60 days. Do we have sufficient manpower? Do we have sufficient infrastructure to conduct, or the technology tools to conduct and complete investigations within 60 days? And what if beyond 60 days or investigations will go beyond 60 days? The law does not have any kind of a provision to ask the investigation authority why there is a delay. If there is a delay, what is the reason behind it? For example, there is Lokpal Act. I'm pretty sure all of you heard of this. There is a SC/ST Atrocities Prohibition Act. Under these particular laws, if the investigative authority or the personnel who is investigating the cases, if there is a delay beyond the number of days that is prescribed under the law, the authority or the investigating officer has to give a written explanation as to why there is a delay. But in this particular case, that provision is not there. Now let's assume the authorities want to complete the investigation within 60 days. What if, because there is a time limit of 60 days, everything has to be completed in 60 days and charge sheet has to be filed in the court? What if important evidence is not collected? Because let's be very honest here. In case of India, because of the vast expanse of India's geography, from north to south, east to west, etc., the crime ring is spread across whole of India. Right? The people who are part of this particular syndicate are spread across whole of India. And it is not very easy to conduct and complete investigation, collect all the evidence, appropriate, correct evidence, and submit it to the court within this particular stipulated time period. This is one more concern. Another concern is appeal to high courts. Like I said, there is a particular time period that is prescribed if there is appeal which has to be done to the high court after fast track court has issued the judgment. Now, this is not the first time that a particular law has a time period where you will have to appeal to higher judiciary within that particular time period. But the problem is different high courts have interpreted this particular provision in different laws in a different way. For example, beyond 60 days or beyond 90 days you want to appeal, and there is a genuine reason why there was a delay. But the law does not have any kind of a flexibility. Some courts might accept your application, and some courts might have a very a straight reading of the provision and simply say, because the time limit has been crossed by the appellant, the application shall not be accepted now. And this has happened in the past in different instances, in different cases. That is one more important concern. Third concern or the fourth concern is, are the fast track courts very effective? Because the government has been talking about fast track courts as a solution, right? As one of the solutions under this particular bill. Are the fast track courts very effective? The data basically shows, despite having multiple number of fast track courts under different laws, there are still lot of pending cases. Case in point, please have a look at the table here. Have a look at the table. Don't memorize the data. This data is not important. I just want to drive this particular point home now. The cases which are pending with the fast track courts, special courts for rape and POCSO cases at the end of each year. In 2024, 2025 and 2023. This is the number of registered cases. These are the number of cases which have been disposed, and these are the number of cases which have been pending. The stock of the cases which are pending with the special fast track courts in India. So argument is simple. Yes, these particular provisions were needed. These provisions were required to address the problems associated with the paper leaks in India. But are these the solutions which can be considered as the panacea to the issue of paper leaks in India? Obviously, no. This is a starting point. The government of India has to do more in order to address these particular issues. For example, couple of days ago, there was an opinion editorial in Business Standard. Business Standard. Right? What this article mentioned was, having a reforms like this is half a solution. It is half a solution. Why? This reform is reactive in nature. It is reactive in nature. Reactive in the sense, we are waiting for the paper leaks to happen and then catch hold of the people responsible for the paper leaks and punish them. Rather than this, why not implement reforms which are proactive in nature? That is essentially those reforms which will prohibit the leakage of the paper itself, which will ensure paper leaks are not happening in India. Right? And one more point that was very important, very pertinent, I felt, that was discussed in that editorial was, the people need to change their attitude towards the exams first. Because please understand, I'm an economics faculty, I'll tell you a simple point. This is a market. Paper leaks is a market. If there is a buyer, there shall be a seller. Correct? All of you will agree? If there is, let's say a buyer, there shall be a seller. It might happen through usage of technology. It might happen through, let's say physical paper leakages. It might happen in hundreds of ways. But first and foremost, we need to address the problem that the students are basically trying to achieve success by opting shortcuts. By opting shortcuts. Not through hard work, not through smart work. According to them, the smart work will be get the paper which has been leaked and ensure that you will score very good number of marks and get into a very reputed institution. We need to change that particular mindset first. Anyways, so these are certain important points that you need to understand from the context of the article. Now, please have a look at this particular table as well. Why am I showing one more table for you? This particular table has a compilation of what kind of laws, punishments, etc. are present in different countries in the context of paper leaks. In case of China, there will be jail time of up to 7 years. In South Korea, jail time up to 5 years and fines up to 15 million won. In United States, because states will also have a lot of laws there, single framework is not there, but the similar provisions are present in United States as well. In France, jail time of up to 10 years is there for those involved in the paper leaks, etc. Please go through all of these particular points. Reason is simple. If at all a question demands this comparison between the law in India versus rest of the world, you will have to quote some one or two examples right from this particular table to increase the quality of your answer. Right, so these are the points I wanted to discuss. Here is a question, MCQ, solve it and tell me the answer very quickly. Consider the following statements. Education is part of the concurrent list. It was moved to the concurrent list under the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act. Education was originally under the central list. Originally means when the constitution was introduced for the first time in India after independence. What is the correct answer? Mahe says option B. What about others? Please participate. The best way to understand and basically solve and improve the confidence is to participate and answer the questions. Only two. Option B. Most of all of you, in fact, all of you who have given the answers have chosen option B. You're absolutely right. Education is part of the concurrent list. It was moved to the concurrent list under 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act. That's also true. Education was originally under the central list. Of course, right? This can be answered. The third statement can be answered even with common sense. What do I mean by common sense? Imagine if this particular statement was true. Just for sake of imagination, imagine it. Why will a central government willingly give away education to the state government? Central government will not do that. Right? So first and second are correct. Right option for the question will be option B. Now coming to descriptive answer writing practice. The Public Examinations Prevention of Unfair Means Amendment Act seeks to strengthen India's legal framework against examination malpractices. Discuss its key provisions and significance. 250 words, 15 marker question. Please practice mains answer writing. And I'll keep on telling this every time I take up newspaper analysis. You will face most difficulty in mains answer writing. Not in the prelims, but in the mains answer writing. Practice as much as possible. Now, here is a homework. Somebody will say, sir, you asked me to practice, but the answer to this question you've already given. What is my work here? There is no work. Half of the answer is already given by you. Agreed. So here is the homework for you. Complete work you will have to do. I have taken this article from Business Standard. Couple of days ago, this was the article in the Business Standard. The National Education Policy 2020 has been implemented and it has completed 6 years now. What is the evaluation of National Education Policy? What are the successes? What are the concerns? After 6 years of implementation of NEP, read the article and those who will simply say, sir, picture is not clear. Right? Use a Sony TV, picture is not clear, etc. I will say. Picture is clear, but because I've put a very large picture in the PPT slide and it is a shorter version of the larger page, obviously right now it might not be clearly visible to you. Download, trust me, it is very clear. Okay, now let's go ahead. Next important article. Why did FIFA scrap its World Cup stake sale? Important current affairs topic. Questions can be asked in the prelims examination. I don't expect question to be asked on this particular topic, but let's say on FIFA, the role of FIFA, etc., questions can be asked in the prelims. Now, here are certain important points. FIFA basically is a global organization. It is a non-profit organization which is located, headquartered in Zurich, Switzerland. This is point number 1. Point number 2. The most important authority, the decision-making authority within FIFA. Basically, we have FIFA Congress. The FIFA Congress has 211 members. India is one of them, by the way. Okay. So we have FIFA Congress, 211 members. These will vote and elect the FIFA president. Apart from this, there is also FIFA Council. The FIFA president is responsible for taking most of the decisions, not all of them, all of the decisions. FIFA Council is also very important. This is point number 2. And the FIFA president, because this particular person, the current president, Mr. Infantino, has been there in the newspaper for multiple reasons. Multiple occasions, multiple reasons, questions can be asked on the FIFA president as well. So the FIFA president will be appointed for a duration of 4 years. He is appointed for a duration of 4 years, and the president can have a maximum tenure of 3 times. Can be appointed maximum 3 times. Done. FIFA was established back in the year 1904. It is already mentioned a non-profit organization, right, located, headquartered at Zurich. Now, come to the point, why FIFA is there in the current affairs even though the World Cup is over? Correct. FIFA World Cup got over very recently. So why FIFA is present in the newspaper now? It is present in the newspaper because the current president has come out with a proposal which has been opposed by many members within FIFA. What was the proposal? The proposal was FIFA has multiple ways to generate revenue. It will generate revenue through sponsorships, ticketing, broadcasting, etc. Okay, so these are different ways through which FIFA generates revenue. The proposal that was put forward was to basically set up a new entity. A new entity will be set up, that is a FIFA Forward Enterprise. FIFA Forward Enterprise. And this new entity, FFE, will be majorly owned, mind you, by FIFA. But in addition to FIFA having ownership, there will be other private sector owners as well. Other private sector owners. In simple terms, they want to open up the ownership of this entity to the private sector, bring in private sector money into hosting World Cups going forward. Right now, whatever revenue is generated, whatever activities are conducted, all of it is under the control of FIFA. And FIFA basically looks after or regulates, it's a global governing body looking after the soccer tournaments. For example, the World Cup, it also looks after the futsal, beach soccer, etc. So whatever revenue is generated, profits, etc. will go to only FIFA. But with this particular proposal, private sector will be allowed to have ownership in an entity which will have control over the revenue generating activities which are now under the control of FIFA. Which means, no doubt, with private sector coming into, right, or entering into this particular organization's ownership, funds will come. But over a period of time, because this private sector will have ownership of this entity, profits will have to go to the private sector along with FIFA. So this was actually opposed by many of these particular organizations. As a result of this, finally the FIFA president has come out and clarified that this particular proposal to have private sector stake in conducting World Cup, this proposal will be dropped. Right, so these are certain important points in the context of this newspaper article. Now, right, based on this, here is a question. I want you to give the answer very quickly for this MCQ. And by the way, everybody is able to follow the discussion. Please do let me know in the chat section. Consider the following statements. FIFA headquarters is located at Geneva or in Geneva, Switzerland. The FIFA Congress has 211 members, which elects FIFA president. India is a member of FIFA Congress. How many of the three statements are correct? Let me know very quickly. Vishal, Lakshmi and Athesha. All of you have chosen option B. Mihir option B. Mahe option B. Anybody else who wants to choose a different option? Any other option? Right? Let's start. FIFA headquarters is located at Geneva. No, incorrect. It is Zurich. Please be very careful. It is Zurich. Geneva has a lot of headquarters of multiple organizations, but FIFA is not one of them. First one is incorrect. FIFA Congress has 211 members, which elects FIFA president. India is a member of FIFA Congress. Yes. Right. 2 and 3 are correct. Right option for the question will be option B. Let's go forward. Okay, before I go forward, everybody is able to follow the discussion. Do let me know in the chat section. All of you are awake? All of you are able to follow the discussion? And by the way, some of you have said option C is the correct option. My dear, no, option B is the correct option. Okay, let's go forward. India's Balancing Act to boost China-US investment trade. Right, what are the important points you need to carry away? Right, I've made a list of them. I'll explain one by one. Don't panic. And before I go forward, right, this is just to prove that once in a while, every one of us makes a mistake. Hindu is also one of them, by the way. Why I'm saying this? Why I'm saying this particular statement? Please have a look at this. I'm magnifying it so that you can have a look at it. There's a particular statement where they have written, the usual procedure is for local industry to petition the Directorate General of Foreign Trade. The short form of Directorate General for Foreign Trade is DGFT. Correct? But in the bracket they have written DGTR. Right? In the bracket they have written DGTR. Right? So some of you who are reading the newspaper on your own, you'll be confused. Right? Whereas the acronym of whatever words they have written becomes DGFT, but in the bracket they have written DGTR. Is it a Spanish word? Why the right full form and the acronym are not matching, etc. Don't worry, it's a mistake. Simple, it's a mistake. Don't spend, let's say, 2 to 3 days thinking over this, scratching your head over it, and end up losing lot of hair. I'm pretty sure all of you have, or let's say some of you have already lost a lot of hair because you get tensed very often in the course of preparation of UPSC, which will be every half an hour, and keep on pulling your hair. Right? So don't worry, DGTR is the right authority, not the DGFT. Directorate General for Foreign Trade, which functions under Ministry of Commerce, is responsible for foreign trade policy. Whereas Directorate General for Trade Remedies, DGTR stands for Directorate General for Trade Remedies. DGTR is responsible for investigations which are associated with anti-dumping, countervailing, safeguard duties, etc., etc. Done? Okay, right. So let's start now. It is DGTR, not DGFT. It is DGTR. Correct? Let's start. What are the important points? Let's start now. What they have done is, they have done an analysis of the different anti-dumping duties which were recommended by the DGTR from 1990 onwards. And they have basically come to a conclusion. What is the conclusion? In recent times, there has been a lot of discussion in order to promote the trade between India and China. For example, this point is also mentioned. Earlier, back in the year 2020, the government of India came out with a concept of Press Note 3. And under this, what is the concept that I'm referring to? Under the Press Note 3, the government of India basically came out with a policy which stated that any investment that will come from the countries which share a land border with India, those investments have to come into India only after getting the approval from the government. Simple. Only after getting the approval from the government. In simple terms, automatic investment is not allowed. Approval route only is allowed. And this has basically withheld a lot of investment that is coming from China into India. And very recently, the government of India has set up a high-powered committee, right, which is headed by Rajiv Gauba. The Rajiv Gauba panel has given multiple recommendations. One recommendation is regarding quality control order, and one recommendation was to have a review of the PN3, which was announced or which was introduced by the government back in 2020, which has imposed restrictions on foreign investments coming into India. So the government of India already has made certain relaxations. Any foreign company which has up to 10% of Chinese ownership, they are allowed to invest in India through a different route now, which simply means relaxation has been provided only if the investment held by the Chinese investors is up to 10%. Right? So different reforms have been implemented. Now, in addition to this, there is one different aspect of the trade that has been discussed here. A lot of you might be newcomers. Just in a minute, I'll explain to you the dumping activity. Let's assume here is a manufacturer. Here is a manufacturer sitting in China. Okay. And you are an importer sitting in India. Let's assume I am the manufacturer in China. Although a lot of you will say, I know that. A lot of you will basically say, sir, you don't look Chinese. Right? You do not look any way in shape or form like a Chinese manufacturer. Absolutely agreed. Right? Absolutely agreed. Let's go forward. Okay. China manufacturing is done. I'm the manufacturer. I will export it. I will export the product to rest of the world at 100 rupees. But when I export to India, I will reduce the price to 90 rupees. I will export, right, to India at 90 rupees. Done. So when it will enter into India at 90 rupees, that is at a suppressed price, it will be able to absorb a lot of market share. It will get a lot of market share. Right. So basically this activity is called as dumping activity. This is called as dumping activity. And the problem is, if the companies will start dumping like this, obviously it will have an impact on domestic manufacturers. So the DGTR will investigate into this dumping activity, will impose a duty on the product, additional duty. This is called as anti-dumping duty, in order to basically increase the market price of the product when it will enter into India. Is it okay? Right? Let's go forward now. What does the data say? The Directorate General for Trade Remedies has recommended more than 1052 such recommendations to the Ministry of Finance between 1991 and 2020. And out of these 1052 recommendations, the Ministry of Finance rejected only 5 and implemented most of these particular recommendations. And it should not be surprising for you, most of these anti-dumping duties were targeted, right, on the imports coming from China. But what has happened after this? Post 2020, most of these recommendations which are given by the DGTR to impose anti-dumping duties have been rejected by the government. Have been rejected, which essentially means more and more imports are coming without attracting anti-dumping duty. Before you become enraged and simply say we are assisting Chinese exports, etc., listen to me very carefully. This is happening because, one, all the products which are required in India are not being manufactured in India, and the cheaper substitute of these particular products are not available in other markets, which makes us import dependent. Second reason is, when you import, you can import raw materials, you can import finished products. When the composition changes, let's say final goods, when you import machinery, this capital good is not available in India, so you'll have to import it. So when you are importing, let's say components, you could target them, but the final goods are not available in India, you will import. Right? So everybody is able to understand this. So this kind of a change has been observed. That's the reason the recommendations, a lot of these recommendations on imposing anti-dumping duty, which have been given by DGTR to the Ministry of Finance, have been rejected by the Ministry of Finance. In addition to this, I've already told you the change in the policies, the Press Note 3 amendment that has been proposed and implemented by the Government of India in order to attract investments from China in India. Done? Everybody is okay? So these are certain things that are discussed in the article. Please make a note of important points here. Now, based on this, here is a question. Please solve it and tell me the answer quickly. Consider the following statements. Directorate General of Trade Remedies is the nodal body for investigating and recommending imposition of anti-dumping duty. DGTR functions under Ministry of Finance. The recommendations of DGTR are binding on the government. How many of the statements are correct? Okay, let's start. DGTR is the nodal body for investigating and recommending imposition of anti-dumping duty. Yes, it is the body which is the authority responsible for conducting investigations. DGTR functions under the Ministry of Finance. This is incorrect. This is incorrect. DGTR functions under Ministry of Commerce. Ministry of Commerce. Third one, the recommendations of DGTR binding on the government. If this was true, then there is no reason why I'll be discussing this particular article, by the way. Done? There is no reason for me to discuss this particular article because clearly a lot of the recommendations that have been given by the DGTR have been rejected by the Ministry of Finance, especially in recent times. Done? Right, so third statement is incorrect. Right option for the question will be option A. Only one of the statement is correct. A lot of you have chosen option B, but option A is the right one. Okay, option A is the right one. Hidden funds. My dear, I'll address your problem. I'll address your question at the end of the session. Don't worry. Hidden funds simply says, this is my question. Address it, Mr. Educator. Okay, accepted, but not now, at the end of the session. Let's go forward. Yesterday, if you remember, I had a discussion regarding one of the editorials that was published in Hindu newspaper. Editorial. And that particular editorial spoke about implementing certain reforms. What are the problems regarding the consumption of food items in India? And certain recommendations were given for addressing the consumption of unhealthy food and promotion of healthy foods. Now, listen to me carefully. In recent times, two states have been there in the newspaper. This can be a very good case study for you to quote in the mains examination. Two states. One is the state of Maharashtra and the second one is the state of Karnataka. In both of these particular states, the authority, right, the FSDA's, Food Safety and Drug Administration, the authorities have implemented reforms which are restricting the accessibility of junk food within the vicinity of the schools. Very simple. The reforms or, right, let's say restrictions have been imposed, which is, right, basically going to make it difficult for the children, that is important, children or boys and girls to get access to junk food within the vicinity of the schools itself. And some of you might be thinking, sir, why are they targeting schools? The argument is very simple. The food habits that we developed when we are growing, when we were kids, when we were in the high school, etc., these particular food habits will come along with us for most of the life. Of course, yes, a lot of people will become very much prevalent regarding the kind of food that they are consuming over a period of time, and they will shift more and more towards healthy food. But let's be honest here. A lot of people will continue to consume whatever food habits that we have developed during our childhood, during our school, when we were very happy along with our friends, right, roaming in groups, etc., etc. So that is the precise reason why these kind of reforms or the case studies become very relevant to write a very effective answer in the mains examination. What is the reform here? Reform is simple. In the 50-meter radius from the school, no junk food, sale of junk food will be allowed. In case of Maharashtra, pav bhaji, etc., right, vada pav, etc., they have been banned from the sale of vicinity of the school. And in the state of Karnataka now, 50 meters in the radius of the school, junk food sales will be prohibited. Junk food sales will not be allowed. Of course, yes, right? It doesn't mean that you can't walk after 50 meters, hotels will not be available, etc. No, people will, or children or the students will walk for 50 meters. At least for the sake of getting junk food, they will walk 50 meters now, right? So, argument is very simple. These kind of reforms are needed. But again, my argument is this the only solution to address obesity in childhood? Is it the only solution to address, right, the problem of overweightedness in the childhood, etc.? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. As long as all the stakeholders in the system, that is, the implementation has to be very effective here. Implementation matters. Implementation has to be very effective because let's be honest, you cannot expect the authorities to be, right, let's say, seated at the gate of every school. You cannot expect authorities to keep on running to every school and keep a watch throughout the day to ensure nobody is going to come within 50 meters from the gate of the school. That is not the right, let's say, right way to implement the reforms. All the stakeholders, for example, the school administration, right, let's say the parents, the children, of course, you can't blame it always on the children, but education, imparting knowledge, that's where all of these particular reforms will become very, very effective. Done? Okay, so this is one case study. Quote it if at all this is asked in the mains examination. Next important article. Over 3,000 serving officers moved to the Supreme Court against CAPF Act. Against, right, CAPF Act. Right? What is the issue here? Simple. First and foremost, CAPF stands for Central Armed Police Forces. Central Armed Police Forces. CAPF comprises of Central Reserve Police Force, Border Security Force, Central Industrial Security Force, Indo-Tibetan Border Police, and finally the Sashastra Seema Bal. And the Central Armed Police Forces functions under Ministry of Home Affairs, MHA. Now, what is the issue? Issue is very simple. The recruitment for the CAPF happens through examinations, correct? Through examinations. For example, I don't know how many of you have checked it. UPSC also conducts an examination for CAPF. So recruitment happens through, right, the UPSC setup system like this. But whenever the positions within the CAPF, certain high level positions, for example, the position of, right, let's say the Inspector General, position of Additional Directorate or Director General, etc., have to be filled in. Historically, in case of India, the government of India through executive orders has been posting some of the IPS officers at higher ranks within the CAPF. Is it okay? Very simple. Right? Recruitment has happened for CAPF separately, and All India Services examination is conducted by UPSC but separately. But whenever some of the positions within the CAPF, especially high-level positions, have to be filled up, right, the government would issue an executive order. Some of these particular positions would be filled with IPS officers. For example, you people. The concern here is very simple. If the positions have to be filled through IPS officers on, right, let's say the deputation like this, then obviously the probability of the officers who have come through the CAPF ranks to move up above the order, vertically upward movement, will be restricted for them. It will become a problem for them. So they approached the Supreme Court of India. Supreme Court of India in May 2025, in the case Sanjay Prakash versus Union of India, issued an order. In the judgment, it basically said, even the officers who have come through the ranks within the CAPF, they are similar to All India Service officers. So we need to recognize them. And we need to ensure that the positions in the CAPF have to be filled with the officers within the CAPF. And gradually, this practice of Government of India through executive order posting IPS officers at higher rankings within the CAPF has to be phased out. It has to be phased out. This was the judgment issued by the Supreme Court of India. And what did Government of India do? Government of India did what it usually does. They amended the law. They basically brought in the Central Armed Police Force General Administration Act of 2026, which effectively nullified the order or the judgment that was issued by the Supreme Court earlier. Through this law, the government simply stated, going forward, at different positions within the CAPF, be it Inspector General, be it Additional Director General, etc., certain number of positions will have to be filled only with IPS officers. Right? This was basically the law that was introduced, implemented by the government starting in the month of April 2026. Against this particular law, now CAPF, right, the officers of CAPF have approached the Supreme Court of India. They want these particular certain provisions under the new law to be held unconstitutional, ultra vires, and they want the Supreme Court to issue an order to the Government of India to implement the earlier judgment that was issued by the Supreme Court back in 2025. So they've approached the Supreme Court, filed an application. Let's wait and see what will be the order of the Supreme Court going forward. Right? So these are certain important points. Please make a note of it. Next, Sergio Gore calls on Bangladesh to join Pax Silica initiative. Why is this article important? Why is this article relevant? Mr. Sergio Gore is US ambassador to India. He's a US ambassador to India. But at the same point of time, Mr. Gore is also a special envoy. He's a special envoy to South and Central Asia. To South and Central Asia. Done? Right, so Mr. Gore is an ambassador to India, US ambassador. At the same point of time, he is also wearing the hat of special envoy, US envoy to South and Central Asia. Now, when he is playing this particular or filling this the role of special envoy to Asia, right? Basically, he is conducting a visit to Bangladesh. And there was one more article couple of days ago in the same context. Mr. Gore met High Commissioner, Indian High Commissioner to Bangladesh. That was also there in the newspaper, although the Minister of External Affairs has not given any kind of, let's say, the details regarding what was discussed in that particular meeting. India's High Commissioner to Bangladesh met Mr. Sergio Gore in Bangladesh. Now, why is this meeting relevant? That is, the visit of Sergio Gore relevant. Why should you understand, those who are writing UPSC examination? This visit is relevant because very recently elections were conducted in Bangladesh. Right? There were protests, there was overthrowing of the earlier government, then the elections were conducted. New PM has taken charge. Mr. Tariq Rahman is the new PM there. Last year, Mr. Tariq Rahman visited China. Last year, Mr. Tariq Rahman visited China. And obviously, when the Prime Minister of a country visits China, and that particular country is neighbor to India, and obviously the presence of USA in this particular region will also come into picture. So there are very close relations that are existing between China and many other neighboring countries of India. China wants to invest in a lot of these infrastructure, create assets, have certain control in operations of these particular infrastructures that they have created or financed in different countries. So when you look at this particular visit in that particular angle, when you connect these particular dots, you will realize this is the reason why USA ambassador to India is visiting Bangladesh. Is it a point of concern for India? Of course, yes. The presence of China in neighboring countries of India, the way they are getting influence, the way they are getting access to investments, etc., is always a cause of concern for India. But for USA also, it is a cause of concern. So USA wants to have better trade relations with Bangladesh. Bangladesh exports a lot of products to USA. It is one of the major exporters of textile products. I'm pretty sure all of you know this, by the way. It is one of the major exporters of textile products. So obviously, USA wants to have better trade relations with Bangladesh. In addition to that, they want Bangladesh to open up the market so that exports from USA will increase and more investments can happen from USA into Bangladesh so that the reliance on China will go down and the influence of USA in Bangladesh will increase. Right? So this is basically the reason why Sergio Gore visited Bangladesh, and the statement basically says the Pax Silica, which is basically an initiative which has been launched by the USA in order to promote a stable supply of critical minerals in the global market and reduce the dependence on China. Right? The visit basically says the visit has also called for Bangladesh to join the initiative of Pax Silica. Done? Right? So these are certain important points in this particular context. Let's move on to the next article. India-China trade through Shipki law. Shipki law. This is important article. Now please zoom in. Article is very clear. Don't simply say article is unclear, words are unclear. Please zoom in. You can read the article later. Don't worry. What are the important points? 2019, there was a breakout of pandemic. And because there was the spread of the pandemic, the border trade, I'm talking about border trade, the border trade between India and China was stopped. The border trade between India and China was paused. And although the pandemic is over, there is normalization of relations between India and China. The border trade has not resumed until now. And the border trade between India and China happens mainly through three important passes. One is the Shipki, which is in the newspaper today. Second one is Nathula. And the third one is Lipulek. Last year in the month of August 2025, there was a statement that was given by both the sides. And the statement basically said, we want to resume the border trade. We want to resume the border trade. And as a continuation of that particular announcement, now the border trade between India and China through Shipki law has resumed. This is the important update. Right? As a continuation of that particular announcement, now the border trade has resumed. Now please understand, when you look at this particular article from a larger viewpoint in the sense, when you look at the overall trade, bilateral trade between India and China, the border trade through these three passes is not very large number, by the way. The total bilateral trade between India and China stands somewhere around $155 billion. Around $155 billion. Out of this, in the year 2019, when you take the total trade through these three passes between India and China, it accounted for around 49 crore rupees. Just around 49 crore rupees. But the importance is in the fact that this 49 crore trade is a very big amount for the people who are located in these particular border regions. It accounts for large economic activity in these regions. It accounts for large income generated by the households, employment generated by the cities or the regions along the border regions. That is the precise reason, right, why this particular news article becomes very important. Done? Okay. Now, based on this, here is a question. Please solve it and tell me the answer quickly. How many of the following pairs are correctly matched? Nathula, Sikkim, Lipulek, Himachal Pradesh, Shipkila, Assam. How many of the pairs are correctly matched? Correctly matched. That's a question, by the way. Okay, some of you are saying option B, some of you are saying option A. Shehzada says Shipkila is in my state. Then please don't make a mistake. Please don't make a mistake. Don't say that I'm from that particular state and then make a mistake. Okay? Let's start. Nathula, Sikkim. This pairing is correct. The first pairing is correct. Lipulek, Himachal Pradesh. This is incorrect. It is in Uttarakhand. UK here is Uttarakhand, by the way. Don't simply later, those who are watching the recorded session, don't say UK means United Kingdom. No, Uttarakhand. Uttarakhand. Okay. Second one, incorrect. Third one, Shipki law. Shipkila is present in Himachal Pradesh. Shipkila present in Himachal Pradesh. Done? Right. So out of 3 pairs, only 1 pair is correctly matched. Right. So right option will be option A. Only 1 pair is correctly matched. Now let's make it interesting. After end of 55 minutes, let's make it interesting. Imagine, I just pray and wish this kind of question is not asked in the prelims examination. Imagine if this is a question asked. What will be your answer? Let me know in the comment section very quickly. The term Nathula recently has appeared in newspapers in the context of dash. Resuming border trade between India and China. It is Zoho's first in-house indigenously designed server platform. What will be your answer? As expected, option A, right? As expected, most of you have given option A. But if it was so easy, I would have not asked this question. Correct? If it was so easy, I would not be asking this question. The right answer to this particular question will be option C. That's the reason I keep on telling the students, be ready for these kind of, let's say, outrageous questions. I know a lot of you will be outraged by looking at the option that is a correct option C. Some of you would be so frustrated you want to take your phone and throw it out of the window. Please don't do it. If you want to do it, look at the garden outside the window, throw it, and please give me your home address. Give your home address as well, right? Okay, now, why have I given this particular question? Last month, not this month, last month, there was an article in Business Line. Please have a look at it. There was an article in Business Line. Zoho enters hardware space with designed in India server Nathula. Is it okay? Designed in India server. This is important article. Was not covered in Hindu. I know that. That's a reason because there was a discussion on passes today. I took up this article. Right. So Zoho enters hardware space with designed in India server Nathula. What is this? Please understand. This is the first ever, right? It is the first ever in-house indigenously designed server platform in India. The intellectual property is owned by an Indian company itself. The intellectual property to develop this particular server or platform is owned by Indian company. That's the reason why this was there in the newspaper, and the benefit is simple. Rather than being dependent on imported, right, let's say equipments, imported servers, right, etc. Now we will be able to build these particular servers within the domestic market, and that is going to reduce the cost of product for me. Done? Everybody is okay? So be ready for these kind of outrageous questions. I know. Some of you basically say there is no way this kind of question can be asked. But after experiencing 2026, you should be ready for these kind of questions as well. Anyways, next article. IIT IIM to begin voluntary drug testing as part of admission process. Important points, simple 2 points. First one is the government of India. The government of India has come out with the Vision Document on Narcotics Control 2629. Remember this. Vision Document on Narcotics Control 2629. Point is very simple here. Lot of people who are in colleges, the students, the learners, they are addicted to substance abuse. They are addicted to substance abuse. And I'm pretty sure you know the impact of the substance abuse on the mental stability, the financial stability, the health of the consumer, etc., etc. Now, the government of India, in order to address this particular substance abuse issue, that is, let's say, consumption of drugs, right? Consumption of the drugs, the government of India, under this particular policy, wants to screen means basically test around 10 lakh students across 170 centrally funded higher education institutions. Right? Around 10 lakh students they want to screen. Screen simply means test. Urine test will be conducted. Whether you're, right, let's say, whether you're involved in the substance abuse or not will be identified. Now, please understand, those people who are getting the admission into the institutions such as IIT and IIM, These organizations now are asking for voluntary, right, sample testing. Voluntary, that is a keyword here. Voluntary sample testing. And whatever the result is, it will be kept confidential. And second, if you're found to be involved in, right, drug consumption, substance abuse, then counseling shall be provided to you. This is basically one important point that you need to take away from this particular article. Rest of the information is not needed for UPSC examination, right? So, right, based on this debate, that is substance abuse, right, the fake drugs being sold in the market, etc. Based on that information in the current affairs, here is a question that I've given. Please answer the question. Let me see. Of course, I've not discussed Operation Vajra. I'll tell you about it in a minute. Let me see how many of you are aware of current affairs. Operation Vajra recently in news is military operation between India and Maldives, joint naval operation between India and USA, a major anti-narcotics operation led by the Central Bureau of Narcotics, none of the above. Now let's be honest here. If this question was asked in examination, there is a hint already. Hint in the sense I've given this particular question after the discussion on drug abuse. A lot of you will guess it and give me the answer. But if this was given in the UPSC Prelims examination, a lot of you will be thinking, I read that operation between India and, right, let's say South Korea. I read this operation between India and UK. This operation between India and USA. There was never a question on this, or there was not a point on this, etc. Operation Vajra is a major anti-narcotics operation led by Central Bureau of Narcotics. Why have I given this particular question? Coverage of PIB. Coverage of PIB. There was one article yesterday, 1st August. There was one article yesterday, 1st August, basically discussing the drug bust, or the, right, let's say the counterfeits which have been, right, confiscated by this particular authority. And earlier, mid-July also, there was an article about Operation Vajra. So in a simple terms, Operation Vajra is conducted by CBN. And do let me know, by the way, CBN functions under which ministry? Here is a question. CBN functions under which ministry? So it is, right, it is basically an activity or operation that is being conducted by CBN, where they are investigating, confiscating the fake medicines which are being, right, sold in the domestic market as well as manufactured in India and exported to the international market. Done? Okay. Right. Next article. Bhitarkanika National Park. Bhitarkanika National Park. Important article, by the way. Although it was given in a corner, very small article. Important. Why? The Bhitarkanika National Park, which is present in Odisha, has opened after a gap of 3 months. It was closed for 3 months and it has opened after 3 months. Why is this important? Why is this article important? This is, right, please understand, this is one national park which is very well known for the saltwater crocodile in India. The saltwater crocodile in India. There are multiple other species, right, let's say fauna and the other types of bird species which are there, right, other types of plant species which are there in the national park, right, along with the animal species, by the way. But it is very well known for having, right, let's say majority population of saltwater crocodile. According to one estimate, 70% of India's saltwater crocodile is present in Bhitarkanika National Park. And because, right, a large chunk of the saltwater crocodile is present in this particular national park, and this is the nesting period for them. It is a nesting period. And during the nesting period, it has been seen that these particular crocodiles become very protective. They become very aggressive if they feel there is a threat to their, right, let's say, if there is a threat to them. That is the precise reason for 3 months, this particular national park is closed for visitors. It is closed for visitors. And because the 3-month time duration is over, this national park now has been reopened. So these are certain important points. Apart from this, because there is a discussion on the crocodile here, please make a note of this as well. India has launched crocodile crocodile conservation program. India has launched crocodile conservation program in the year 1975. One of the conservation programs which has been very successful in India, right? So please remember this, because I know a lot of you are more worried about conservation program for, right, other animals. This is also important. Next, two points important from the article. PM Modi unveils Greenfield Airport in Andhra Pradesh. Greenfield Airport in Andhra Pradesh. What are the 2 points? This particular airport is the first Greenfield Airport after the bifurcation of earlier Andhra Pradesh. Earlier Andhra Pradesh was bifurcated into 2 states, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. So after the bifurcation has happened, this is the first ever Greenfield Airport which has been developed through the public-private partnership. It has been developed through public-private partnership, and this is the first one, right? So that is the point which is very, very important. Second point, which a lot of you will miss it. Because that information is not given here. What is the point here? The Prime Minister virtually laid the foundation stone and unveiled plaque for ASIP Technologies, 2,500 crore semiconductor manufacturing facility at Visakhapatnam. Please make a note of this point, because please understand, there are already multiple semiconductor plants which have been, right, which have been, right, let's say, which have already started, right, where foundation stone has been laid, right, the work has already started. But this will become the first ever semiconductor manufacturing plant in the southern part of India. Is the point clear? Right? Is the point clear? This is what can be asked in the prelims examination. This is the first ever semiconductor unit, right, which has been launched in the southern part of India. That can be the potential question in the prelims examination. So please remember the name, right? Question can be asked. Okay, finally, last article for today. Some of you are asking, sir, when will the class get over? Today is Sunday. So leave us, spare us, at least to today. Last article, just factual information. Lokmanya Tilak National Award 2026. One more article from Press Information Bureau, because it was not given in the Hindu newspaper. Right, Union Home Minister presents the Lokmanya Tilak National Award 2026 to National Security Advisor Shri Ajit Doval. This can be a question in the prelims examination. Now, what are the other factual data points that you need to know? The award is given annually, and this year it was presented by the Union Home Minister. The award is given by Tilak Samarak Trust, right? Tilak Samarak Trust, remember that? The ceremony was held to mark 106th death anniversary of freedom fighter, right, Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak, right? Important point. The award basically includes a token, a memento, citation, and a cash prize of 1 lakh rupees, and English copy of the book authored by Bal Gangadhar Tilak, that is Geet Rahasya. Geet Rahasya. Now, that can be the potential question in the prelims examination, because let me be very frank. UPSC has the habit of asking the questions on newspapers as well as the books which are started by freedom fighters. So just to make it a bit more comprehensive, what are the other writings of, right, Tilak here? These are the list of some of the important books authored by Bal Gangadhar Tilak, and these are the two newspapers which were started by the freedom fighter. Please go through this particular list, can be asked in the prelims examination. Be very careful. Done? Right, so these are the articles, concepts, that questions that I wanted to discuss with you people in today's session. Please download the PPT, practice mains answer writing. Don't write down whatever I've written. These particular points you can refer to using the PPT itself. Now, earlier there were certain people who were asking me questions. Please repeat your questions so that I can address your questions, and then we can close the session. And if you have liked the discussion, do not forget to hit the like button. If you're yet to join the Unacademy IAS YouTube channel, kindly do it right now. Mahe, sir, can you please suggest which standard book to read economics apart from NCRTs? My dear, which book you have, you tell me. Which book you have? I'll tell you whether that is sufficient or not. But please refer to one book. One book. You might have 10 books. Please refer to one book. Okay. DGTR and DGFT. Both of them function under Ministry of Commerce. The role of Directorate General of Trade Remedies is to investigate if there is a dumping, if there is a need to impose a safeguard duty and give recommendation to Finance Commission. Finance Commission will notify these particular additional duties. The Directorate General for Foreign Trade is responsible for conducting foreign trade between India and rest of the world. For example, you want to import something, you need approval, you will go to DGFT. You want to export something, you need approval, you go to DGFT. The role is completely different. Mahe, just stick to that. Just stick to that. Don't read from page to page, from first line to the last line. Just read the important points, important static portion. How will you understand what is important static portion? Go through the last 5 years question papers. Look at the standard syllabus which is given by almost all of the faculties. Stick to those particular points. And current affairs, as usual, read the current affairs through magazines, through newspapers, etc. Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions? Okay, there was one question who was saying, Mr. Educator, please address my doubt. Okay, I'm not able to find that. Okay, you are saying that the people have to change their attitude towards the exam. If all people are genuine in a society, then why we need all of the systems? My dear, everybody will not be able to change their attitude. At least some people, if they change, the demand for leakage of question paper will go down. That is the whole idea. Okay. Rationale on why government would put IPS at the higher rank. Reason is they will send on deputation purposes or deputation in order to ensure the IPS officers will get experience of all the kind of work, administrative work, gathering information, crowd control, etc., etc. As an IPS officer, you're expected to get experience in all these areas. That's the reason they will be sending IPS officers into different areas like this. Okay, done. That's it then. Shahzada, thanks a lot. That's it from my side. Take care, all of you. Have a great day. Enjoy the Sunday. See you next time whenever I take up the Hindu newspaper analysis. Have a great day. Take care.